the ability to leverage this technology to help our customers and their businesses run more efficiently. Customer requirements have changed dramatically. The whole remote working, it's a mandatory requirement for a lot of corporates and governments across the world to have a proper risk management and a proper ESG structure in place.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to FaceTime with Leaders, a podcast series by Directors Institute World Council of Directors. I'm Tanayol, and today we are delighted to be joined by a dynamic leader with over 25 years of experience in driving business transformation, cloud adoption, and customer success. She has a proven track record in leading major sales teams at global organizations like SAP and Microsoft, where she successfully navigated the digital transformation journey for enterprise clients and consistently demonstrated a strong commitment to enhancing customer experiences and driving growth in cloud revenue businesses. It's a privilege to introduce Ms Sunita Mohanty to the podcast. Thank you for being here, ma'am, and welcome to FaceTime with Leaders.
Thank you, Tanay. Thank you so much for having me on this forum. And hello to everyone who's tuning in and listening.
Ma'am, you've led a significant business and digital transformation across major organizations like SAP and Microsoft, which brings me to my first question. What would you say was the key turning point in your career that made you so passionate about driving technology adoption?
So Tanay, just to I'd say it's a little bit of serendipity. If I could start off with that, right? I am largely a sales and marketing professional. I did once I graduated and I did my MBA. I happened to be hired by Wipro, which was a technology company, and so started my tech career. And honestly, I think the pace of I'd say technology change has been so rapid that it's been very engrossing for me, and I've continued in that line. And I think today, I'd say that technology is more than just a job for me; it's become a passion. And if you see, technology is today embedded in everything that we do. It's all around us. It's all pervasive. There are immense possibilities for us to leverage technology, and all of the new emerging technologies that are constantly coming our way, right? To innovate, to break boundaries, to explore new horizons. All of the companies that I have worked with, be it Wipro, where I started out, I moved to Oracle, I worked with Microsoft, I worked with SAP. A lot of these are technology giants, and just the pace at which we've been leveraging and using technology has just been phenomenal, right? And so when I say technology is a passion for me today, I think what I've enjoyed in all of the roles that I've done so far has been the ability to leverage this technology to help our customers and their businesses run more efficiently, more responsibly, and for our users, customers, individuals to improve their lives and make their lives better. So I think every day is exciting, and every day poses newer challenges, with the advent of newer and newer technologies that are coming our way.
Yeah, I think as technology is one thing that's growing so fast that you have to keep changing and moving with the pace. Now, I'm keeping in mind your experience in driving both sales and services in a highly competitive market. What's your approach to balancing customer satisfaction with profitability?
That's a good one. And I'd say that, yes, there is a balancing act that one needs to do, undoubtedly. At the end of the day, we have to keep our customers at the center of everything that we do. While we are doing that, I think, all of us have expectations, right? So it's important to be realistic. It's important to set the right expectations for our customers. Don't make false promises, and don't position your solutions as the panacea that is going to solve world hunger and world problems, right? So I
Yeah.
think the baseline is to start any relationship with our customers basis, trust. So you have to build trust with your customers. And it is a partnership, and this is something that, obviously through years of experience, you realize that it is not a one time transaction, it's not a transactional relationship, but it is a relationship that you build over time, right? It calls for investments, and it needs that you have to make investments in building that relationship. um, and when you make those investments, of course, as a business leader, there have been times where I've had to make those decisions in terms of, we've got to do something for a customer because it's the right thing to do, even though it means that we are having to put in additional resources, additional money, etc., right? But at the end of the day, it helps build that trust. And believe me, I think it has come back manyfold in terms of, the customer then coming back to you repeatedly for, as they grow, as they need more solutions or requirements. And so it is, one has to look at it as a lifetime relationship. And so if I use a very simple analogy, right? The Bajaj scooter, where we used to say, fill it, shut it, forget it, right? You can't take that approach anymore, right? So it has to be something that you invest in, and that investment is like a tree which keeps growing and growing. So that's how I would look at, how you build customer relationships. It's more long term and not short term.
True, especially with technology, I feel it's such an ongoing process that it's not just a product you give away and then can move back from. It's something that is a relationship because technology stays with people.
Yeah.
I'm in a fast evolving industry like tech. Unforeseen challenges are inevitable. Can you recall a time when a project or initiative did not go as planned? Like, how did you adjust your strategy to turn things around then?
So that I wouldn't look at it as a project or an incident. I'd probably look at it more holistically, and I will probably draw upon my experiences in the last two organizations that I've worked with, and both of them have been tech giants. And what I've seen is that specifically in the post-pandemic phase, the pace of change has been very, very rapid, right? The market conditions have changed dramatically, customer requirements have changed dramatically. The whole remote working, work from home, it has thrown up numerous opportunities and challenges, right? So, of course, which calls for strategy adjustment and constant readjustment. So, in the last 5 years, the amount of market evolution that has happened has been immense, right? And you have to navigate through a lot of unforeseen business dynamics. You have to learn from a lot of failures. And, I think there have been numerous examples in this last 4 or 5 years where, the learning for me has been that one has to be very agile, right? Your decision, you have to make decisions which are very fast paced decision making, and often decisions that are hard choices to make, right? But the one thing that has been constant in the past 5 years has been change. There has been constant change, reorganizations, org restructuring, new product offerings, new go to markets, all of that. And look, while all of this change is happening in our organizations, you have to still keep your business running, right? And so it is essentially ensuring that while the train is still running on its track, you also have to do that at super fast speeds, right? Which calls for a number of things. Which calls for, of course, the fact that you have to keep your teams motivated. You have to ensure that your teams, are delivering in the midst of all of this uncertainty, and which is why it's very important then that you have that, you're able to build that trust in your employees. If you don't have that trust and that buy-in, your teams, your extended teams, all of them are just lost. So you have to have a very, very strong, I'd say, employee connect and team connect to ensure that, while all of these changes are happening, you're able to ensure that, people continue to perform. And secondly, I think the other big learning has been a learning mindset, that you have to keep a very open mind to keep trying new things, right? something that worked yesterday and failed, and if you say that, hey, it failed yesterday, I'm not going to try it today, is not something that you can try out anymore. Something that worked, that didn't work yesterday, in today's environment can work, right? So don't be afraid of failure, and you have to be have the ability to try different things. Of course, you need to set certain boundary conditions, right? Which basically means that there is certain amount of risk management that you will need to do. And so we as leaders obviously need to do our homework in terms of anticipating risks, using data, technology to really understand and anticipate some of these risks. And so bottom line, while we are learning new things, you also have to unlearn a lot of things. So that's what I'd say.
Yeah, you can never be a filled jar, I guess. Otherwise, there's
Yeah.
nothing to put in. Ma'am, with your deep understanding of cloud services and enterprise solutions, how do you see ESG and corporate governance principles influencing the future of tech leadership?
Okay, so interestingly, the company that I was last working with, which is SAP, is a very, very strong enterprise resource planning software company, right? And so things like environmental, social governance, ESG, corporate risk management, these are solutions that have, are strong points of the ERP solution, and most of the large corporates, for them, ESG is a way of doing business, right? A lot of global organizations, some of our global customers, it's a mandatory requirement for a lot of our corporates and governments across the world to have a proper risk management and a proper ESG structure in place. But what I'm seeing, and so it's more about the trends that we are seeing when it comes to corporate risk management and environmental and social risk management. I think the E in the ESG is gaining center stage today, and more so because of all of the climate change that we are seeing. Our planet's resources are getting depleted much faster than we are able to replenish them, and therefore the importance of minimizing waste, maximizing usage, recycling, usage of renewable resources, all of this is becoming more and more important, and so that onus is obviously coming on corporates also, right? And so in India, the BRSR, the Business Responsibility and Social Responsibility Reporting that was introduced in 2023 for the top 1,000 companies, is today something that a lot of organizations are struggling with, right? Because it calls for being able to account for carbon emissions, what's the carbon footprint that you're creating, doing creating sustainable supply chains, which is where I think technology comes in, right? And embedding or including environmental reporting in your financials
Yeah.
is today a requirement. And if you don't have the right technology tools to do that, uh, how are you going to be reporting that, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's where technology plays a very, very important role in being able to measure and manage our planet's resources better, and which is today the responsibility of all corporates as well.
Ma'am, throughout your career, you've achieved remarkable milestones. But what achievement are you most proud of, if I had to ask that, and how did it contribute to shaping the success of the organizations you worked with?
So, Tanay, I mean, I can't, I wouldn't want to focus on, let's say, one particular instance again. I think for me, I have always taken every role as, it's the way I've approached every role throughout my career. And every time that I've taken on a role, the one thing that I keep, one thing I think about when I get into that role is what is the legacy or what is the impact that I'm going to make in that role, right? So whether it is as a salesperson, when I started out earlier in my career, I wanted to be a super achiever. So obviously, I had set certain goals, saying, "Hey, I want to achieve X percentage of my target, right, or overachieve X percentage of my target." When I became a manager, those goals changed to how would I shape the business, right? Today, as a business leader, those how the impact that I can make those goals are defined very differently, right? In terms of overall growth of the business, people, there's so many aspects of the business that you look at. So I think I've always looked at each role and I've always asked myself, how do I want to be remembered? And then set those goals, right? And take those big bets and make that impact in every role. Um, so one of the things that I always tell my team is that you must always leave shoes too big for the next person to fill, right? So whatever job or whatever role you take up, my mantra has always been over deliver, right? And set a big audacious hairy goal that you want to go after and go all out and achieve it. So that is, I mean, I like I said, it's something that I've been very consistent with in terms of mindset and approach every time I get into any new role or job, I'd say.
Ma'am, reflecting on your career journey, what advice would you give to women aspiring to take leadership role in tech, and how do you think they can break barriers in traditionally male-dominated industries?
So I would say two things that I want to call out for all of the aspiring women leaders and even those who are already leaders. One thing is that, and this is something I've experienced myself, and which is why I'm bringing it up here, is that I think a lot of us women we severely underestimate ourselves. We do not put up our hands for opportunities unless we are 100% sure or we are fairly certain that we are going to succeed, right? You're never going to be 100% sure of any role. You're not 100% ready for any role, I'd say. So you have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to be bold and you have to think big. And I think that is fundamentally, I think, a big difference I see between men and women. Okay, a lot of women are very hesitant to take on those big opportunities versus male colleagues who are, even half ready but they will put up, or half qualified but they will put up their hand and, willing to take on something big. So I think that's the first thing that I would call out. The second thing is that as women, and this is really for the women leaders, as women leaders we need to do more to lift each other up. We have to break the glass ceiling together, and the only way we can do it is by lifting each other up. We have to groom, we have to mentor and handhold other aspiring women leaders. We shouldn't be we should be stepping stones for each other rather than be, kick the ladder that help us reach where we are.
Ma'am, if I may ask, why do you think that is the case? Why do you think that more men go and take the challenge and are willing to jump in, whereas women somewhere take other things into account?
I
Why?
think, like I said, women are not, like I said, they want to be 100% sure that they're going to be successful in a job, right?
Hmm.
Or a role, right? They
Yeah.
don't, if they're not 100% ready, they're not willing to put up their hands, even if they
Okay.
have the required qualifications. And which is why I'm saying you need to be bold, you need to think big, you need to be able to put up your hand for those big opportunities that come your way. And this is something I've seen throughout my career, and I myself am a victim of that mindset where unless I've been very sure of myself, I have not put up my hand, right? And 2 years later, when I'm doing that job, I'm like, why did I not put up my hand 2 years back? What's the big deal?
And not every opportunity comes with 100% preparation,
Exactly.
right? Moving on to the last question, which is how has your association with Directors Institute influenced your leadership approach, and what aspects of the experience have resonated with you the most?
So, it's been about 2 months for me now that I've been into the course, right? And it's been, of course, overall very educative, a lot of learnings for me, especially around all of the corporate and governance laws and, the checks and balances in the system that exist, right? It's there's a lot of I'd say reporting, governance laws that are there, and I think that has been not all of us are cognizant of all of this, and that is of course something that's been very educative for me. The role of the board. the importance of managing all of your stakeholders, whether it's the shareholders, the investors, employees, customers, creditors, etc., etc. At the end of the day, I think all corporates exist to make profits, right? And which is why it's so important to have balance, and that's where obviously the role of the board comes in, and that's what I think. Having been, like I said, having been in the corporate sector for the last 25 years, and that's I think this particular course has really given me that opportunity to really think about what next, how else can I contribute to the corporates in India and globally. And I think there's one line that resonates with me from the course, which is that in the corporate world, majority rules, right? And hence, the need to balance interests of various stakeholders versus obviously corporate priorities and goals. So that's something that really resonated with me, that line.
Ma'am, your exceptional career in driving digital transformation and customer success is truly a reflection of your visionary leadership, and I'm confident that your continued passion for leveraging technology to create change will play a major part in shaping the future of business and customer experiences. So, on behalf of Directors Institute, we are grateful for this opportunity to learn so much from your inspiring journey, and we eagerly anticipate the further impact you'll continue to make in the industry. Thank you so much once again, ma'am, for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a great day.